Hello, you action figure enthusiasts out there. JC here with another T&I toy review. And today I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new Marvel Select 7-inch The Falcon and the Winter Soldier Sam Wilson as Captain America figure from Diamond Select Toys. Now this figure was just released. It's being sold as a Disney Store exclusive. I ordered mine online and it arrived very quickly. And of course it is based on the new Disney Plus series that just had its final episode this past Friday. Now like all the Marvel Select figures, it comes in that same kind of binder type packaging. You've got the artwork on the side there. Back, it gives you a look at the actual figure. And then on the front, it's clearly displayed along with the name of the character. And then down below, the logo from the series. Alright, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging along with the other contents. So let's start off taking a look at the accessories that come with the figure. So first thing that we get, of course, is the Captain America shield, the MCU version, and specifically the one from the new The Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. I guess you could say this actually first appeared at the very end of Avengers Endgame when old man Steve Rogers brought it back from someplace. We don't actually know where this shield came from since Cap's original shield was destroyed in Endgame, and then he went back in time, and then when we saw him again he had the shield. So it's got different line marks here on the white portion. That's the main difference. But it'll be interesting to know if we ever find out where this actual new shield came from. Now on the back side, you get the straps, you get the metallic silver. So, you know, very true to how the back of the shield looks like in the MCU. So overall pretty good. However, you know, because there's no peg or anything, there is no way to attach the shield to the figure's back. Next up, we have 3 different pairs of hands that come with this figure. We get the closed fist, we get the open hands for like flight poses, and then you get the semi-grip hand for holding like the strap of the shield and such. Now we have the drone, the Red Wing drone. This is a separate piece, and there's not a whole lot you can really do with this. They didn't put like any kind of hole or anything. There's no extra little flight stand for him. So again, there's, you know, it's kind of a nice thought that they included it, but it's just, there's really not a whole lot you can do with it. It would have been nice if they'd given us a little flight stand, or at least maybe a hole on the bottom, so if you have your own flight stand you could put it in some flight poses with your Falcon figure. You know, Falcon doesn't really hold the drone, so, you know, putting it in his hand is kind of stupid. But on the top, you've got the metallic red, blue, and silver, and then again on the bottom, it is just a solid metallic silver. Besides the drone, you also get Falcon's pack. So with this, it's just the metallic blue and silver. And the way they've done this, so first of all, it just plugs into the figure's back. But when you want to attach the wings, you actually, there's this piece here, you just kind of pull it apart with your fingers, it comes apart, and then you're going to end up plugging the wings in here. When you have the wings in the figure, this little extra piece you'll just have to set aside. Now the final accessory you get is Falcon's wings themselves. Now these are just solid pieces of plastic. There is no articulated joints on these wings. And then you just plug these wings here with these little pegs into the pack, and I'll show you that. But once you get these plugged into the pack, you know, there is no movement. You can't even do the wings up and down, back or forth. You know, the wings are essentially a static piece on the figure once you have it plugged in. So it is cool that they included the wings, you know, unlike the original comic book based Falcon Cap Marvel Legend figure, but there's not a whole lot that you can actually do with these wings once you do have them on there, which is a little disappointing. So those kind of complaining about the upcoming Marvel Legend version of this character with the build-up wings, you know, having to buy the entire wave to get the wings, you know, unfortunately, I think that's just a necessary evil if we really want to have, you know, articulated wings that can do all the things that we saw him do in the show. So, but again, with these that come with the Marvel Select version, they are just static. Yeah, they look pretty good. You've got, again, the metallic silver and the blue and the red, and you've got, you know, that on both sides of the wings. So they don't look bad. It's just, again, there's not a whole lot you can do, and it is a solid plastic, so, you know, there's no give or anything like that on the wings. Okay, now when you want to attach the wings to the figure, it's actually kind of a pain because you've got these two holes on each side of the underside of the pack. You've got a big hole and a little hole. So, and then you've got the pegs on the wings. So you've got to line up the pegs and the holes, and that's not difficult. But the problem is there's no like piece to secure the wings on the pack. You're essentially going to plug the wings into the pack and then plug the pack into the figure, and then the wings being pressed up to the figure's back is what actually keeps it in place. But the thing is these wings don't generally stay in the holes very well. So when you're trying, you've got to kind of finagle it so you can get the pack plugged in before the wings fall off. And that's not always an easy thing. So again, you plug the wings in, and then you take the figure and you plug the pack in, and hope that the wings don't fall out. If they do, you have to kind of adjust them. But like I said, it's kind of a pain. And then the pack itself, especially as I've been using it, tends to not stay on the figure's back as tight. So then it starts to move, or the wings start to kind of pop out. So it would have been nice if they had made a way to secure, have like maybe this extra piece that you remove from the pack. If they had made this so you could actually plug it into the back of the pack with the wings on, so that actually secures the wings on the pack, and then you plug the backpack in. But as it is, they're essentially using the figure itself to hold the wings in place on the backpack. Now for the figure itself, I don't have a whole lot of complaints. I do have a little bit of sloppy paint in a few places. Now starting with the head sculpt, overall I think they've done a good job here capturing the likeness of the actor. I will say they use solid red metallic paint on the lenses of the goggles, which of course are not removable. I don't think anyone was expecting the goggles to be removable, but they did not use like translucent plastic, red plastic for the lenses so that you could see through to his eyes like you do in the series. I do believe the upcoming Marvel Legend version has translucent plastic with the goggles. It doesn't look bad. It just would have been a little bit nicer touch if they had done the translucent plastic. It would have been more accurate to the TV series. Now moving to the rest of the figure, so I do like the detailing overall, and he's got the shoulder pads, which are separate pieces, so those don't really limit the arm movement. And I've got to say, in the actual series, the one thing I didn't like about the costume was I thought the shoulder pads did look a little bit off. I think these shoulder pads actually look better here on this figure than they did in the actual series. Now, you've got the little stars on each side, so we saw that in the series, so that's nice detailing. You've got the sculpted star on his chest with the line work, so all that looks pretty good. And you've got some nice texturing on the blue portions of the figure, so like down here on the leg. You got the detailing, the sculpting detail here in the midsection with the red and white stripes, so that looks accurate to how we saw in the show. The belt is looking pretty good. Now in the back, you've got the big hole there for the backpack. But again, you've got some texturing on the blue portions. Metallic silver. So I think they've done a pretty good job. I like the metallic reds. The red on his wrist matches up with the gloves, which is nice. And then you've got that again down here on the shin guards. So overall, I think that's good. He's got the knee pads with the blue and the silver. The gray. So I think the figure for the most part looks pretty good. I don't have any major complaints. I've seen some people say they don't like the body proportions on a Marvel Select figure, but to me, that really doesn't bother me. Now one thing I will note, we'll look at this a little bit more when we get to articulation. The joints are made with kind of a soft rubber material. I was actually, when I was trying to bend the elbow, and of course they are single hinged elbows, but when I was trying to bend the elbow on the left arm, at one point I was actually kind of afraid if I tried to push it too hard, I would actually snap it off, rip it off. So it's a very soft type, rubbery type plastic there with those elbow joints. So just something to be wary of. Okay, so for articulation, I believe they said this figure has about 16 points of articulation on it. Definitely there's some areas like with the head where it would have been nice if we'd gotten a little more movement. I mean, you can rotate the head all the way around and he can look down a little bit, but where he really lacks movement with the head is he really can't look up. And for somebody who flies, up movement would have really been nice. So that's a little disappointing. And then with the arms, you can get the arms out about that much. Again, those shoulder pads are separate pieces, and you can rotate the arm all the way around. You do get a bicep swivel. You have just a single hinged elbow, so you know this left arm doesn't seem to bend as much as the right arm. I probably need to take a hairdryer and maybe try and loosen it up. And again, with this left arm, every time I bend it, I feel like that joint's just going to rip off because it's such a soft rubber material. But you only get the single hinge. You do get rotation there at the elbow, and then you get rotation with the hands. And you also have hinges on the hands so that you can do them up and down. Now, going to the midsection, you have a rotation here at the midsection. You can pivot a little bit to the left and the right, but he really can't crunch forward very much, really not at all, and then he can only look back a little bit. So again, trying to get really good flight poses with him is pretty difficult. You have a waist swivel, so it will rotate below the belt. I thought the belt was a separate piece, but it seems to be glued, so you know, again, when you rotate at the waist, it's actually underneath the belt there. Now with the legs, so first of all, I will say you get quite a decent amount of gappage between the leg and the waist section, which, you know, does allow you to have at least decent movement, but you can definitely notice when you're looking at the figure, you get that kind of gappage there. And then he does do the splits pretty good, and you can get the leg forward pretty good there, and you can do the leg back as well. Now he's got a thigh swivel, he does have a double hinged knee, so he's got good bending there at the knee. He does have, he does not have like a boot cuff swivel, but he does have some ankle pivot, and of course 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention as far as articulation goes, so besides the thigh swivel, which is kind of down low, you also have the ability to rotate the leg up there. It's attached with the ball joint, so you can rotate the leg up high. Okay, so here's a look at the figure with the wings attached. And overall, I don't think they look bad, but as I mentioned before, there's no movement with the wings, so this is the only position when you have the wings actually attached to the figure that you can put them in. You can't do them up, you can't do them down with the way they attach into the backpack. So very little that you can do with the wings once you have them on there. So that's the most disappointing thing about this figure to me. And again, going back to the Marvel Legend one, which, you know, you will have to, it's a build-a-figure type thing, so you will have to get all the figures in the wave to complete his wings. But I do think with that one, with all the articulated points and such, you'll be able to do a lot more, like hopefully be able to create a shield like you would use the wings in the show and stuff like that. With this one, you know, you can't even really get him into a lot of different flight poses because, like I said, this is really all you can do with the wings is just kind of pose them like this. Now, while the wings themselves don't actually move at all, one thing I do want to point out here is the backpack, which just plugs in with that peg. It does have a tendency, especially when the wings are attached, because the wings are kind of heavy, it kind of has a tendency for the wings to kind of move and get crooked on the figure. So that can be a pain, and then the more that backpack kind of moves, the looser it gets, at which point the wings may actually fall out. So again, the wings don't have any movement at all, but the backpack will kind of move up and down a little bit on the figure as you're using it and posing it and stuff. Okay, so the figure itself stands just a little bit over 7 inches tall, not quite 7 1/4. However, with the wings, at its highest point, the wings come up a little bit over 9 inches tall, almost 9 1/4 inches. And the wingspan on this one is roughly about 13.5 inches. Okay, now for a couple comparisons, here's a look at the Marvel Select Captain America figure from the first Avenger movie that Diamond Select Toys did. And these two are pretty close to the same height, so I would say they scale pretty good with one another. Comparison with the Marvel Select Iron Man figure from Avengers Infinity War. And then finally, here's a comparison of the Hasbro 6-inch Marvel Legends comic book based Falcon cap, as well as their 4-inch Marvel Universe figure. Okay, so that's my review. So overall, it's not a bad looking figure. I think they captured the likeness of the character pretty good. However, I can't help but be a little disappointed in this figure, mainly because, you know, even though you get the wings with this one, there's not a whole lot that you can do with them. So it would have been nice if they at least added some basic articulation to the wings and maybe made it so they secured more tightly in the backpack so that they don't fall out as easily. It also would have been nice if they had made it so you could plug his shield into his back. That's something you saw him do in the show, which is not available to this figure. And then they also did include the Red Wing, but really didn't make it so you could do much with it. It would have been nice if they included an extra little flight stand or something for that. But as I said, the figure itself, I think, looks pretty solid to how he appeared in the show. I actually like the shoulder pads better here on the figure than I did in the show. And, you know, if you just want a nice display piece, a Falcon cap, if you collect other 7-inch Marvel Select figures, then you might want to check this one out. Otherwise, though, I'd probably say wait for the Marvel Legend version. I think, you know, you're going to be able to do a lot more with the wings on that one and such. So, you know, I won't say for sure until I actually have that figure in hand, but just based on what I've seen, I feel like the Marvel Legend one is going to allow you to do a bit more with the character. Now, this figure is available now. It is a Disney Store exclusive. It's available on the Shop Disney website, and I believe it has also started to hit physical stores. We'll have a full image gallery up at Marvelous News. I'll have a link to that in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Stay safe out there, guys, and until next time, I'll catch you later. Hey, thanks for watching today's video, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so alerted every time I upload a new video. And be sure to head over to the Toy News International and Marvelous News message boards communities. It's a great place to talk toys and win cool contests like $100 store credits to Big Bad Toy Store. And remember, action figures are great.